Welcome to Minds in Motion with Dr. K, where we dive into the stories and insights of high performing leaders and entrepreneurs who are changing the world. Join us as we explore their journey, their missteps, their successes, and wisdom gained along the way. I am your host, Dr. K, and today I'm being joined by this wonderful Miss Gina Brown, an entrepreneur, artist, a coach, author, and host. She lives in Los Angeles, California, and has been in the coaching space for over 15 years. She has worked for Fortune 500 companies and knows the cultures of large corporations. Wellness is her passion, and motivation for herself and others is her drive. Welcome to the show, Miss Gina Brown.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
I am so excited to have you on today as we do this series on females leading fearlessly in this disruptive era. And I know that you have been really, moving across the landscape in so many different arenas. And so one of the things I want to find out from you is what has your experience been in corporations in your earlier career?
My experience in corporations in my early career was bright-eyed and bushy-tail, just bright eyes, just so excited. I graduated from college and got that first corporate job, and I just made it. And I didn't know, but
Right.
I'm so eager and so willing and so available. And I just was a sponge. Whoever would take me under their wing to teach me how to get ahead, that's what I would do. And my two early jobs were at a high school where I got to recruit high school kids. That was more nonprofit, but the corporate job was, which is now Reuters in the Twin Cities. It's Westlaw back then, or West Group, that's gone through so many name changes. And I was in a technical field, and they just had this big class of like 20 people to learn this tech, like help desk type techie stuff. And I was so excited, and it just was so big, and it had so many benefits. And it was just like, what your parents sent you to college for, right? To
Right.
get a good job. So that was my early years in corporations.
So
And
I'm sure it was a bit intimidating, right? Venturing into this new space, or was it more curiosity?
definitely intimidating, because the campus itself was huge. It was like a mini city. That's how big it was, like 3,000 people, just like a mini city. So with three different buildings, and so it's almost like going to college. You go to campus, you're like, like, tell me, teacher, tell me, mentor, where do I go now? Like, where do I sit? How do I do, It
Yes,
was exciting though. It
it
was
was
exciting.
fun, right? So you was just taking in everything, which I am sure prompted you to start looking into different areas and aspects of career and business. How did that, that navigation in that earlier career, how did that prompted you to be where you are today?
Yes. So those steps at that particular organization, it was like, how does, business classes that I took in school. Okay, how does organization work from the top down? Who are the leaders? You have all these tiers, right? Your C-suite, your directors, your managers, your team leads, when you come micro it down to departments. And I, again, was just a student and just wanted to learn how it worked, because I always knew that I would be an entrepreneur, and I wasn't going to stay there as a lifer, which many people, I have few colleagues from back then are still there.
Wow.
And that's like well over 20 something years ago. Yeah.
So what would you say prompted you to venture out into your own business? Because I know that's where you're flourishing right now.
Yes. So it's the feeling confined, the freedom that you get, choices you get to make, people you get to bring on your team. how you make decisions. Those were the things that always felt like um, I was really eager to explore those possibilities. Explore those possibilities. So that was probably one of the biggest things. It's the freedom, optimistically, right? Time freedom, financial freedom, and creative freedom.
I love that. It just kind of reminds me being in corporate and being there for so many years and really started to feel boxed in. So, there are many women in that midlife category, mainly Gen Xers, and they're stuck in corporate, not being given the opportunity to advance and are in this place of what do I do next? What would you say to them?
Yes. So at that particular organization, early out of school, I was there almost 10 years, right? So one culture, one way of doing business. And I was getting the itch of like, oh God, I'm getting to this 10-year mark. This is where people start to stay because they're comfortable and they've already invested their time and energy of almost 10 years. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. So I left. Um, and I ended up leaving the city eventually, but I took a big leap of faith and left. And that's what I would say when you have an unction inside of you, a desire, a something to go for it. And
Mm,
the sooner you can feel that and think that's where you want to go, then you should make your plan to do it. Get mentors in the organization, get mentors out of the organization that have done things that you desire to do. Do your
yes.
research online because there's so much available. And and really for women, which I know is the hardest thing, is having the confidence, the courage, the faith, the wherewithal, because we're smart enough. That's not the thing. It's the courage to be out on your own. That's the thing that feels so daunting or unsecure.
Yeah, because I think so many of them, they have the passion for it, maybe even the drive. But as you said, that courage is not there because they're like, what if I leave and I fall flat on my face? All the what ifs start coming up for them. The imposter syndrome starts showing up, right? And the doubt and all these things, the fear, all these things that start coming up. So did you experience that when you decided to make that decision? Was any of these things showing up for you?
Absolutely. And they still show up because we're always evolving and going to a new level. And so they will always be there. So if I can't emphasize enough, it's always going to be there. So there's never going to be the perfect time. So there's no reason to wait. So that's my thing. It's like there's no reason to wait for a security or the right moment, the right time. Analyze how men think. Like they don't sit and wait, they just do it.
Let's
And
do
so
it.
we just have to be doers. And in that you will find your way. You will find your support. You will find your um, the wisdom within you and the wisdom around you will find, and it will work.
I love that. You will find it. I know. I heard this pastor said one day. With women and fear, she said, just do it afraid.
You
Steve
have to.
Covey, I often hear him say, jump, right? So you gotta jump. I had to jump. I jumped after what, almost 20 years and feeling so unfulfilled and so stuck. I jumped, literally jumped into a second career. And it was the best decision that I have made because I'm in my happy place. I love what I do. If I, they often say, but if you don't get paid for something, would you still do it? This is what I'll do. I'll continue to coach executives. I'll continue to help the millennials to become that best version of themselves. So to your point, just do it, right? Just do it. So,
It's not smooth. It's not smooth. There's a lot of curveballs. They're crooked roads. Sometimes you get forks in the road. These are the things that'll prepare you that they're going to happen. They are there. They are real. Yes, yes, yes. But you still do it anyway. You figure it out. Women are smart enough to figure it out. We're the best collaborators on the planet. And we can pull our community, our team, our wherewithal together for financial gain. The second thing I would mention is become as best as you can to be financially sound with reading financial statements, learn business, learn the business jargon. It's really easy, but people make it intimidating, so you are left out. So you insert yourself into a preparation place in position for my sports and athletic hat. You prepare to be in position, so when a play is called, you're ready for the game. And the play is when someone calls you or texts you and says, "Hey, do you know anything about this? Have you experienced that? Or I need help in this." You have some idea of what to do or where to go.
I love that. You know, I often hear the saying that what is that, opportunity meets preparation. So
Mm-hmm.
being in that space of preparedness, and even if it's another job they choose to go to, and as opposed to their own business, keep their resumes relevant. You know, don't wait until that opportunity or that moment shows up, and now you want to let me upgrade, update this resume. Keep it relevant. Keep shopping it around, because you just never know, as you say, when someone is going to call and say, "Are you experiencing this, or can you do this?" Yes. You know
Yeah.
what? I figure you should say yes, even if you don't. And then you prepare for it. Say yes anyway, and then prepare for it, because
It benefits you.
know it benefits you, right? So, women wear many hats in general. They're wives, they're mothers, leaders, employee, business owners, etc. And for the most part, they are, given that keep the wheel running type of thing in corporations as well. And they're reporting that the brain drain is beginning to happen, especially with those midlife women, which is burnout. Females are burning out. What advice would you give to those females who are currently suffering burnout in the workplace?
This is so like paramount and so important that we really pay attention to this, because 20 years will go by and you're still in burnout. So I would say listen to your body.
Mm.
What's happening? Are you getting fatigue, tension? Um, is your personality changing? Are you snippy, short, not responding in a kind tone? You know what I mean? Like just cranky. I just use cranky. Notice what's happening around you. What's going on? Why is this happening? You're overworked. There's too much to do. Your insides of your body is going like this, like it's on vibration because there's so much. So you have to take a pause. One way I would say to manage that is take half a day off. If you don't have a half a day, take 2 hours for yourself weekly, minimum. Walks, clear your air, just downtime, a nice podcast, something relaxing you have to find ways to calm it down. Brain fog comes with overload. And the concern that I have with women with this, it can cause chronic ailments to the body, and it can also cause disease to the body. There's plenty of studies on it. So to avoid or minimize this, you have to pay attention earlier, even in your 30s, as early as your 30s, because you're so driven, right? You're going to get the goal, you're going to get it. And the pitfall in corporations is they will leave you hanging and get rid of you. So you have to be aware of all of these things on why things drive you, what the purpose is, what the long and short-term gain is for your own personal health. So that's for me, it's tied in. I'm ambitious, you're ambitious, we're ambitious, but then you have to monitor your ambition with how it affects your health, because your health is your wealth, period.
I love it. Your health is your wealth. It's so funny. Today, I was like, today is my me time. because I am going constantly all week, it's constantly, coaching, and it takes a lot out of you. You say, well, you just sit there and talk to people, but it takes so much out of you because, it's mental, right? You got to observe, you got to like decide on what would be the next best response into order to take this person to the next level, help them get to the next level. And so one of the things that I often do with each one of my new clients, the first thing I say to them is, how is your self-care? Because they're
Mm,
high performers, and they're just leading these huge teams, and it's all about the next level of promotion, and the result is what we're talking about: burnout, no self-care,
yeah,
insufficient sleep,
yeah,
sitting for long periods of time,
yeah.
no inactivity, right? Not exercising, eating at their desk, not eating a proper diet, staying hydrated. There's so many things that they miss because it's meeting after meeting after meeting, and they just, as you say, just so driven, and they forget the key thing is self-care, knowing that your health, right, is your wealth. And so that was so insightful. I'm so happy that you're sharing this, and I hope the women who are listening to this will start taking heed. Because burnout is really having some really bad effects on the body. What would you say that this is also having on people's mental health?
Yes. First, I'm so glad you made that statement or comment about all the elements of keeping your health and body together. And you just laid it exactly out what people are dealing with as people in the corporate world and entrepreneurs and business owners. However, whatever the category is for you, these are symptoms, and how we get sucked in like a vacuum with these behavior habits, with just going and not pausing or stopping, is because it starts out, oh, I'll just do it for a month, 3 months, a year, and that's how the vacuum starts. Now we have this habit, and it's detrimental. And so this year, um, just this last 2 or 3 months, two women, African American women, passed away because of really heart attacks.
Wow.
So this is like the shock and awe, really. Like, so these are the things that really can literally happen. We think about it, we read about it, but when it happens to you, you're like, or you see someone around you that passed away because their heart gave out. They overdid it. Like, you have to like pause. You really do. You really do have to pause. And that's why when I do wellness coaching, what you just said is a part of the whole shebang, and the reason why, especially if you have children. You have to maintain and be attentive to your children. They need you. They need you to pay attention to them, love on them, and listen to them and educate them. So it's so many layers of the reason why and the benefits. Can you repeat that last question again?
I'm just gonna like, I just kind of wanted to switch on something here really fast. You're a coach, right? You're a health coach, is that correct?
Wellness coach, holistic wellness coach.
So as that coach, as that wellness coach, I'll just rephrase it, right? As a wellness coach, how do you believe, or what difference would it make working with someone like you for women who are dealing with that brain drain and burnout to improve their mental health? How would that help?
First of all, sleep. People underestimate the amount of sleep that you need, but all I can say is try it. Get the amount of sleep that your body says I need, even if it is 8 hours, even if it is 10 hours. Give it what it needs and see how you feel and how you act and everything else after that happens. And it's not going to be a one-time thing. You need a consecutive. Let me tell you, I experienced this myself. So this is why I'm passionate and can speak with definity and clarity. When I got my rest during COVID time, I was amazed. I was like, oh my gosh, I
Mm,
had more energy. I could even create more stuff because my mind is open to receive. And how I responded to my friends, my family, it's like, oh, hey, how's it going? And I just like, grunting, right? You just grunt like, I'm a tea drinker, so you drink your tea, you drink your coffee, you're like, and imagine that in your workplace when you have staff or in a corporation.
Mhm.
Trust me, you're doing the same thing there too, and they're looking at you like, what is wrong with you? And so you have to manage yourself. You're managing them, you have to manage yourself. You take better care of yourself, that brain fog will dissipate, minimize. You will just you'll just be happier. And for me, joy, happiness, and peace. See the smile? See the
I see it. So I'm gonna kind of piggyback on that response. I know you wear many hats. You're an actress, you're an artist, you're a coach, you're an athlete. You are being pulled in so many directions. How do you navigate and balance the demands of these roles with other aspects of your life, such as family, personal interests? How do you balance it? Because that's a lot of hats.
It is. Have you ever danced?
Oh, I love
I
dancing.
think of it as a dance. You have to like go up, you go back, you have to pivot. Sometimes you got to swirl around. You have to be flexible. So in my earlier career, I wasn't very flexible. I was very rigid, very structured, very just like has to be this way. And when it wasn't that way, I would fall apart emotionally. So I've learned to be flexible. And when things um out of my control, especially, um you just go with it and don't get attached to it. So that's one way I deal with it. The other way that I deal with it is plugging in, like square pegs. You plug in on your calendar things that you have to get done that day, that week. So I'm always constantly writing down what has to get done, when. And then from a wide macro lens, right? What I do is I have like calendar quarterly. I'm a quarterly girl. 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, right? We got 4 of those in a year. So that's kind of how I do it.
I like that structure. I'm gonna probably try it myself. I like that knowing ahead of time what's gonna happen. And one of the things I often say to people, make sure you schedule yourself on that calendar because we
Key.
schedule everything and everyone else, but are we on there? And do not remove yourself to make white space for anything or anyone. I heard someone, I was at a conference recently, and the host was saying, she says, I created an avatar for myself so that my admin doesn't know who this is. And so she's like, well, there's a meeting with whoever it is, Passion, or whatever that avatar was. And she's like, okay, that's me. But she said, I can't let her know because she might move that around and place something else in there. But we have to give ourselves priority, right? If we don't invest in ourselves, we are our biggest asset. Who's going to invest in us? So I like that structure and that order because it makes you feel so much more in control and you're not all over the place. So I really love that. I'm definitely going to take that as a learning for me. I really, really love that.
Thank you.
As a female leader, Gina, how do you navigate difficult moments or setbacks in your business, and what keeps you motivated to push forward?
Yes, thank you for that question. So I think this is when my athletic background kicks in. Um, Back in school, I played basketball, ran track, and in sports and athletics, you have tons of setbacks, tons. And so it's a mental thing. That's when your mental game has to be really sharpened or available to adjust. You have to adjust. You're constantly adjusting and pivoting and adjusting and pivoting. And so when setbacks come, which you can predict that they are, you just don't know when and where. That's the whole thing. Entrepreneurship or corporate leadership, there's always adjustments, and you just have um, to be mature enough, wise enough, smart enough, uh, loosely prepared enough, right? So you have the education and the tools. So you're like, okay, well, let's shift it this way, that way, this way, that way. And so when I lose a game, right, in a sport, you get a setback financially, a client is not going to renew with you, or you had a pending contract that was going to be signed and they went a different way. Major things like this are real and they happen. So what do you do? So what do you do when you lose a game? You analyze, right?
Mm,
What did we do good? What did we do that we need to improve? You analyze and you get the heck back out there and you fight and you get going and you change it, you turn it around. You find a way to turn it around, you find a way to win.
I love that. Get back in the game. Get back in the game. You know, in
Yep,
court, they refer to it as a postmortem, right? Do a postmortem. See where did you go wrong? How can you get back in the game? So that it takes that flexibility, as you say, that adaptability and having that ability to bounce back easily. I love it.
I'd like to add too, if this is a muscle that's not strong for you, then you need a person you can call or reach out to that can understand, but not coddle you.
Mm,
Someone that can say, I hear you, you'll make adjustments, but get back out there. Because if you're a person that is too soft or not strong enough in this area yet, then you are going to sit there for a day, a week, a month about analyzing about what went wrong. And we don't have time for that. Like, no. Like from me, the coach, like, no, we are back in the game. Come on, let's go. We play to win. We play to win. So whoever that is, you need to make sure you have someone or people you can reach out to support you.
yeah, and if they don't, hire a coach. Hire a coach.
Absolutely.
You know, I often
And
tell my clients, I'm not the coach who tell you what you want to hear, but I tell you what's necessary to move you forward. Because a lot of times
absolutely.
they come into the game, well, you can't tell them what they want to hear, then you hindering more than you helping.
Coaches are third party people that can help you see your blind spots. Often they've been where you have been. They can pull you through and encourage you, inspire you, motivate you. Um, and you will trust them. And then you can get them to those next levels. And that's why I love coaches. Coaches always have coaches. So,
Always do. Always do. Because
so when people look at us, they're like, oh, well, I need you as my coach. But trust me, we have coaches too. Like we're always like iron sharpens iron, always.
yeah, because you got to stay relevant. You know, you still need, I often say you can't pour from an empty cup because every day, every time you work with a client, you're pouring out, and you need something to refill you. And having a coach helps with the refilling, right? So I have my final question. Is
Okay.
there a specific message or piece of wisdom you'd like to share with aspiring women leaders who are listening to this podcast?
Yes, words of wisdom is if no one has told you, if you haven't heard it enough, or you need to hear it now, you're good enough and you're strong enough and you're smart enough. And whatever is in you that you want to do or you are doing and want to do better, it's possible. It's a belief in yourself, it's a confidence in yourself, and I believe in you and you can do it. So let's do it. Yes.
Let's do it. I love it. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please share, like, comment, and follow us. Remember to be stronger than your excuses and always, always empower you. Thank you so much, Miss Gina Brown, for being my guest on today's show.
Thank you.